The human spaceship shuddered violently as it entered the orbit of Orcs, a planet unlike any other in the galaxy. Crystalline spires reflected the twin suns, scattering light across the sky in dazzling patterns. The atmosphere shimmered with faint electric currents that ran through the city-like structures on the planet's surface. Captain Elias gripped the console of his ship tightly, feeling the alien forces tugging at his vessel. He had been on countless exploratory missions, but nothing in his training had prepared him for a world like this. As alarms blared, the ship tilted sharply. Elias struggled to regain control, his eyes scanning the alien instruments that suddenly reacted in ways he didn't understand. Then, with a heavy jolt, the ship crashed onto a wide platform made of polished crystal. Sparks flew, and smoke billowed into the shimmering sky. He unstrapped himself, coughing as dust filled the cabin. The doors opened with a hiss, and Elias stepped out cautiously. The world around him was breathtaking. Towering structures of light and stone seemed to grow from the ground itself. Floating platforms hovered in midair, connected by luminous bridges. Aliens of every imaginable shape and size moved gracefully across the walkways, their eyes glinting with curiosity. Some had multiple limbs, others had skin that shimmered like liquid metal, and all of them stared at him as if he were a rare creature from a distant legend. Before Elias could take a step further, a beam of light enveloped him. He instinctively raised his hands only to find himself suspended in midair. A deep, melodic voice echoed around him. "State your name and purpose, human." Elias swallowed hard. I am Captain Elias of the starship Horizon. I come in peace. I am an explorer." The voice paused, then spoke again. "You are far from your stars. Few humans have ever crossed the void to reach Orcs. You are special." From the shadows of a nearby tower, a figure emerged. She was tall, regal, with skin that glimmered like starlight. Her eyes were deep pools of violet, filled with intelligence and authority. She walked with a grace that seemed to bend light around her. Elias instinctively bowed, though he wasn't sure it was the correct gesture. "I am Queen Lysera," she said, her voice carrying effortlessly through the air. "Captain Elias, your arrival is unexpected." The crowd of aliens that had gathered began to murmur among themselves. Whispers filled the air, sharp and curious. Many had never seen a human before, and some seemed uneasy at his very presence. Elias could feel the weight of their gazes, and for the first time in his life, he felt completely out of place. Queen Lysera approached him, her eyes scanning his form as if reading not just his appearance but his thoughts. "You carry something unusual," she said softly, "a spark of potential that even our most advanced beings do not possess." Elias blinked, unsure how to respond. I don't understand." "Perhaps you will in time," she replied. Her gaze hardened slightly as she turned to face the council of elders who had appeared behind her. "Do not act hastily," she commanded. "The human is under my protection until I determine his purpose here." The council muttered among themselves, some frowning, others whispering urgently. It was clear that many did not trust this stranger. One elder, a being whose form seemed to shimmer with liquid gold, stepped forward. "Your Majesty, he is a human. They are primitive and unpredictable. Our studies show they could be dangerous. Why should we not detain him immediately?" Lysera's eyes flared with authority. "Because," she said, her voice rising so that every being in the hall could hear, "he is under my protection. He will remain here and none of you may harm him." A ripple of shock ran through the assembly. Aliens paused mid-step, staring at the queen in disbelief. No one had ever spoken with such certainty in the royal hall. The murmur of voices grew louder, filled with both fear and curiosity. Elias felt a strange warmth from the queen, a sense of safety that he hadn't felt since leaving Earth. Yet the tension in the air was palpable. These beings, no matter how advanced, were not inclined to accept a human easily. He wondered what he had done to earn such attention. Lysera raised her hand, silencing the hall. Her eyes were fixed on Elias, her expression unreadable. Then she spoke words that stunned everyone present. "He is my human." The hall fell into complete silence. Some gasped, others froze in disbelief, and a few stepped back instinctively. To claim a human in such a way was unheard of. Aliens from every corner of the galaxy had attended this council, and none had ever seen such an act of audacity. Elias' heart raced. "Your Majesty," he asked hesitantly. She inclined her head slightly. "Do not fear. I do not mean to harm you. But your presence here is not ordinary. I sense that you have a role to play, one that may shape the future of Orales itself." The council erupted into arguments. Some elders demanded immediate study of the human, others questioned the queen's judgment. Lysera listened patiently, her violet eyes unwavering. "You will see in time," she said finally. "Captain Elias will prove his worth, and we will all understand why I have chosen to protect him." For the next several hours, Elias was escorted through the city. Everywhere he went, he saw marvels that defied human understanding. Vehicles hovered silently, powered by unknown energies. Buildings responded to touch, changing shape and function according to the needs of those inside. Alien citizens moved with a grace and precision that seemed choreographed, yet natural. As the day progressed, Lysera explained the situation in private. They walked through a quiet garden suspended high above the city, where floating plants glowed with soft light. "Orales faces threats," she said. "We are advanced, yes, but we are not invincible, and your arrival, it is no coincidence." Elias frowned. "Are you saying I was meant to crash here?" The queen smiled faintly. "Perhaps not in the way you imagine. But you possess qualities that we have not seen in many cycles: courage, quick thinking, and adaptability. These are rare even among our kind, and they may be exactly what Orales needs." Elias swallowed, feeling both honored and overwhelmed. I don't know if I can help. I'm human, I'm ordinary." Lysera placed a hand on his shoulder. Her touch was light but firm, and he felt a surge of reassurance. "Ordinary humans can accomplish extraordinary things. Do not underestimate yourself." Later, Elias was introduced to his temporary quarters within the palace. The room was unlike anything he had ever seen: walls that shimmered with light, a bed that molded perfectly to his body, and a view of the city that seemed infinite. Despite the luxury, he could not shake the feeling of being under constant observation. Days passed, and he began to learn more about Orales. He discovered that the aliens were in the midst of political tension. A faction within the council sought to exploit the human for their own gain, seeing him as a tool rather than an individual. Other factions were wary, unsure if humans could be trusted. Yet amidst the intrigue, Elias noticed something else. Some of the citizens looked at him with curiosity, awe, and even hope. Children would approach him, fascinated by his appearance and gestures. Scientists and engineers asked questions about human technology and behavior. In small ways, he began to see how his presence could influence this world. Then one evening, an alarm sounded across the palace. A fleet of unknown ships had appeared on the horizon, their design unlike any Elias had seen. Lysera convened an emergency council with Elias at her side. "This is why your presence matters," she said quietly to him. "Orales is about to face a challenge unlike any before. Your mind, your instincts, may be the key to survival." The hall was tense, filled with beings from every corner of Orales. Many glared at Elias with suspicion, but Lysera's presence ensured he was protected. As the alien leaders debated strategies, Elias felt a strange clarity. He realized that despite being a human, he could contribute something vital, an outside perspective that could turn the tide. As night fell, the queen stepped forward, raising her voice so all could hear. "He is my human," she declared again, "and he will stand with us. Let no one challenge this decision." The council was silent once more, the weight of her authority undeniable. Elias looked around, seeing the mixture of fear, awe, and begrudging respect in the eyes of the elders. For the first time, he felt that he belonged, not just as a visitor, but as someone who could make a difference. The stars above Orales twinkled like jewels, and Elias wondered what awaited him in the days to come. One thing was certain: his life, and the fate of this extraordinary world, had changed forever. The night over Orales was restless. Captain Elias lay awake, staring at the luminous city below his quarters, trying to understand the weight of what had been placed upon him. The Queen's words echoed in his mind. Your mind, your instincts, may be the key to survival. He had always considered himself a simple explorer, a human with curiosity and a steady hand. Yet here, among beings far more advanced than he could imagine, he was expected to make a difference that could shape an entire civilization. The alarm that had roused him days before had faded, but its memory lingered. Unknown ships had appeared near Orales' orbit, and the alien council had debated the planet's defense endlessly. While the technology at his disposal was breathtaking, Elias understood that raw power alone would not be enough. He needed strategy, creativity, and a perspective that was not confined by centuries of alien tradition. Morning arrived with a soft hum of energy. Light danced across the crystalline towers, and the city stirred with quiet urgency. Elias dressed in simple exploration gear provided by the Queen's attendants and made his way to the council chambers. Lysera awaited him, her violet eyes calm but intense. "Are you ready?" she asked, her tone both gentle and commanding. Elias nodded. "I think I understand what I need to do. I just hope they'll listen." "They will," she replied. "Not all at first, but your actions will speak louder than words. Remember, courage and intelligence are often underestimated." The council chamber was vast and circular, suspended above the city with no visible supports. Aliens of every shape and color filled the space, their expressions a mixture of curiosity, skepticism, and impatience. Some looked at Elias as if he were a strange experiment, while others simply ignored him, focused on their own calculations. Lysera began the session. "The threat approaches," she said. "Captain Elias has volunteered to assist in devising our strategy." A murmur spread through the hall. A golden elder, still suspicious of the human, leaned forward. "And what makes you think this human can help? Their species is unpredictable, untrained for our methods, and fragile." Elias took a deep breath. He stepped forward, feeling the eyes of the council upon him. "I may not know your systems as well as you do," he began, "but I can see things differently. Sometimes, a new perspective is exactly what's needed when tradition doesn't provide a solution." The room went silent. Some council members tilted their heads, intrigued. Others scowled, unwilling to accept advice from someone they considered primitive. "I've studied your city," Elias continued. "I've observed your defensive systems and the patterns of incoming threats. I think we can use the environment to our advantage, set traps and confuse the enemy. And I have ideas for coordination that rely on speed and adaptability, things your methods may overlook." Lysera nodded slightly, encouraging him. "Speak freely, Captain." "Do not be afraid of their doubts." Elias outlined his strategy. He suggested placing decoys along the perimeter to mislead enemy sensors, creating mobile defensive units that could respond rapidly to attacks, and using alien technology in ways that were unconventional but effective. He emphasized teamwork, bridging human intuition and alien precision. A few council members frowned, skeptical of his unconventional ideas. But others, younger members and scholars, leaned forward, clearly intrigued by his reasoning. The first phase of preparation began immediately. Elias worked alongside alien engineers, learning to adapt human problem-solving to Orales' technology. Days passed in a blur of activity. He adjusted defensive algorithms, redesigned energy shields for mobility, and even suggested minor structural modifications to the city's outer layers to create natural choke points. Despite the progress, tension remained. The Golden Elder continued to watch him warily, occasionally questioning his suggestions in front of others. Yet Elias maintained his composure, answering every question calmly, explaining the logic behind each idea. Slowly, resistance began to fade. Aliens who had doubted him saw the results of small tests and simulations. Meanwhile, Queen Lysera spent hours by his side, guiding him through the politics and history of Orales. She explained the ancient rivalries, the codes of honor, and the expectations of alien leaders. Elias realized that strategy was not just about technology. It was about understanding the hearts and minds of those who wielded it. Finally, the day came when the enemy fleet appeared on Orales' horizon. Unlike anything Elias had seen before, their ships were sleek, black, and agile, with a design that suggested both speed and deadly precision. The city trembled as the aliens prepared for battle. Citizens evacuated to safer zones, and defensive units took their positions. Elias stood on a high platform alongside Lysera, overlooking the city. "Are you ready?" she asked, placing a hand on his shoulder. He nodded. "I am, and I think they'll see that humans can do more than they expect." The first wave of attackers descended. Their ships darted toward the city in tight formation. Sensors blared warnings, and energy shields flared to life. But Elias' strategy was in motion. Decoys activated, sending false readings that confused enemy targeting systems. Mobile defensive units darted through the streets, intercepting ships in ways traditional methods would have failed to predict. The Council watched in awe as the humans' unconventional tactics began to turn the tide. Even the Golden Elder's expression shifted from suspicion to reluctant respect. Elias coordinated attacks with both alien commanders and automated systems, using intuition and timing to outmaneuver the invaders. Hours passed. Battles raged across the sky, but the city's defenses held strong. The enemy's formation broke apart under the combined pressure of precise strikes and clever traps. Finally, a coordinated strike led by Elias disabled the enemy's command ship, forcing the remaining vessels to retreat. Silence fell over Orales. Citizens emerged from shelters, cheering in awe at the victory. The council members, once skeptical, now looked at Elias with admiration. Even the Golden Elder stepped forward, bowing slightly. "Your strategy, human, was remarkable. You have proven your worth." Queen Lysera moved through the crowd to stand beside him. "You see," she said softly, "courage, intelligence, and perspective. That is what you brought to Orales, not just your skills, but the way you think." Elias felt a mixture of relief and pride. He had not only survived in a world far beyond his understanding, but had helped save it. More importantly, he realized he had earned a place among beings far different from himself, not as a guest, but as a valued contributor. In the days that followed, Elias worked with the Council to reinforce defenses and improve communication with neighboring planets. He continued to learn about alien culture, their technology, and their ways of thinking, sharing human ideas in return. Orales became stronger, more unified, and better prepared for future threats. The people began to see him as a symbol, not just of human ingenuity, but of cooperation across worlds. Children ran alongside him in the gardens, laughing and asking questions. Scientists and engineers sought his advice, fascinated by the blend of human intuition and alien technology. Yet despite the respect and admiration, Elias never forgot his own humility. He continued to study, to listen, and to learn from those around him. The bond with Queen Lysera deepened, not through possession or ownership, but through mutual respect and understanding. She recognized his bravery and wisdom, and he recognized her vision and guidance. Months later, during a grand assembly in the royal hall, Lysera stood before the council once more. The hall was filled with leaders from across Orales, citizens, and honored guests. The topic of discussion was the future of human-alien cooperation, a subject once deemed impossible. Lysera raised her hand, and the room fell silent. Her gaze swept over Elias, then to the assembly. "This human," she said, her voice ringing with authority and pride, "has shown us that courage is not measured by form, species, or origin. He is my human, yes, but more importantly, he is our ally, our friend, and a symbol of what we can achieve together." The council erupted in applause. Aliens of every kind cheered, some shedding tears of joy and relief. Elias felt a warm surge of emotion. He had arrived as a stranger, an outsider in a strange world, yet now he stood at the heart of a civilization, respected, trusted, and celebrated. As the assembly ended, Elias and Lysera walked through the gardens, the twin suns setting in the distance. "It's strange," Elias said. "I never imagined that a human like me could mean so much to an entire planet." Lysera smiled. "You underestimated yourself. You saw possibilities where others saw limits. That is what makes humans special." Elias looked out at the horizon, thinking of Earth, of the countless stars, and the adventures still awaiting him. He knew his journey was far from over, but he also knew that he had found a place where he could make a real difference, a world that had welcomed him, a queen who had trusted him, and a civilization that had begun to see beyond their own limitations. The stars above Orales twinkled, reflecting the city's lights below, a reminder that even in the vastness of space, courage, wisdom, and friendship could bridge worlds. And for the first time, Captain Elias felt that he belonged, not just as a visitor, but as a part of something greater than himself. He had arrived as a human, an explorer, and he would remain as a symbol of hope, cooperation, and the extraordinary potential that any being, no matter how ordinary they might seem, could bring to the universe.